7 trends which indicate that economic disaster is approaching very rapidly. Michael Snyder reports. The economic meltdown that's coming should not be a surprise to anyone. Throughout U.S. history, there have always been signs that a major downturn was coming, and that's precisely what we're witnessing right now. Tax revenues are way down. Demand for trucking services is way down. Demand for cardboard boxes is way down. The money supply is shrinking at the fastest pace in modern history. And the Conference Board's index of leading economic indicators has already declined for 15 months in a row. At this point, anyone that cannot see what's coming has got to be willingly blind. And the following are 7 trends which indicate that economic disaster is approaching very rapidly. Number 1, when economic activity slows down, less tax revenue comes in, obviously. And right now, federal government and state government tax revenues are declining precipitously. U.S. state and local governments just experienced the worst decline in income tax revenues ever recorded. This was the second steepest year-over-year percentage decline in history, with only the GFC having a worse outcome. Note that federal tax receipts are also dropping again, now at recessionary levels and approaching minus 10% on a year-over-year basis. Number 2, when the economy slows down, trucking companies see less demand for their services. So it's deeply alarming that truck freight volume and spending absolutely plummeted during the second quarter. Truck freight volume and spending in the second quarter of 2023 declined by the highest levels since the early days of the pandemic. The latest U.S. Bank Freight Payment Index revealed spending by shippers dropped 10.9% compared to the second quarter of 2022, while shipment volume dropped 9%, according to a statement from the Minneapolis-based bank. Number 3, employment is supposed to be the bright spot for the economy, but the latest employment report shows that the U.S. actually lost 585,000 full-time jobs last month. Well, one look at this month's adjustment, and it's literally a shocker. You will not hear anyone from the Biden administration or Associated Economists cheerleaders mentioning this, but the BLS report that in July the number of full-time jobs plunged by 585,000 to 134.274 million. That's the report. The biggest monthly drop since record COVID crash of 14.7 million jobs. Number 4, U.S. employers have already announced more job cuts this year than they did in all of 2022, and the hit just keeps on coming. CVS Health said Monday it's cutting approximately 5,000 jobs to focus more on health care services for its customers. The move, which is supposed to help the company save money, will affect workers primarily in corporate jobs, the Wall Street Journal reported. Number 5, thanks to rapidly rising interest rates, monthly costs for new home buyers are almost 20% higher than they were a year ago. It's absolutely crushing the housing market. The monthly cost for a potential home buyer has surged nearly 20% compared with a year ago as prices remain elevated, according to new data. During the fourth 4-week period ending July 30th, the monthly mortgage payment for the typical U.S. home buyer sat at $2,605, 19% higher than the same period a year earlier, according to Redfin. Number 6, the fact that delinquency rates for commercial real estate mortgages are skyrocketing is yet another sign that we are in the early stages of the worst commercial real estate crisis in all of U.S. history. The delinquency rate of commercial real estate mortgages on office properties that had been scrutinized into commercial mortgage-backed securities, CMBS, spiked to 5% by loan balance in July, up from a delinquency rate of 2.8% in April, having now spiked by 2.2 percentage points in 3 months, by far the biggest 3-month spike in the data going back to 2000, and by 3.4 percentage points so far this year, by far the biggest 7-month spike according to TREP, which tracks and analyzes CMBS. Number 7, the share of the U.S. population that cannot even afford a $400 emergency expense just continues to go up. The share of U.S. adults who said they would cover a $400 emergency expense with cash or equivalents dropped by 2 percentage points from the previous quarter to 46%, highlighting how cash-strapped many Americans are despite the recent decrease in headline inflation, according to the survey developed by Bloomberg and conducted by intelligence company Morning Consult. But Joe Biden and his defenders continue to insist that everything is fine. In fact, Joy Behar is quite certain that the economy is booming right now. Leftist Joy Behar said, who reportedly earns $7 million annually as a co-host on The View, said on Friday's program that the economy is booming and people are having an easier time putting bread on the table, in the passionate defense of President Joe Biden. For those that are making millions of dollars a year, I'm sure that everything must be great, must seem great. But for the rest of us, things are tough. Meanwhile, our banks continue to experience really weird technical glitches. For example, in recent days, many Wells Fargo customers have been greatly upset about money disappearing from their accounts. Isn't that something? On X, the platform formerly known as Twitter, users complained about their disappearing funds. One bank customer said they saw the news about the problem right as they noticed their deposits were not in their account. So where did they go, for God's sakes? Now, right before this popped up in the news, I saw that my deposits were not in my account, the tweet read. I was trying to pay bills and none would go through. This is so unacceptable, obviously. The company responded in a statement to CNN that a limited amount of their customers are experiencing the disappearing deposits. They said most of them were resolved and that they would fix the problem soon. That is unacceptable. It's a double entry system. That means that if the entry means that ends up taking away the customer's money from their deposit accounts, where did they go? Where did the other entry go to? This is a very serious problem, obviously. It's another example which shows, that's my comment, but it's another example which shows why it's wise to never keep all of your eggs in one basket. Our financial institutions are far more vulnerable than most people realize, and the cyber attacks that we've seen so far are just a small preview of what's coming. Unfortunately, most Americans don't understand any of the things that I've discussed in this article. Most Americans are simply trusting that our leaders have everything under control, and so they will be bitterly disappointed when they finally realize the truth. This is by Michael Snyder. This is about the author. My name is Michael. My brand new book entitled End Times is now available on Amazon. In addition to my new book, I've written 6 other books that are available on Amazon, including 7-Year Apocalypse, Lost Prophecies of the Future of America, The Beginning of the End, and Living a Life That Really Matters, Commissions Earned. When you purchase any of these books, you help to support the work that I'm doing, and one way that you can really help is by sending copies as gifts to family and friends. Time is short, and I need help getting these warnings into the hands of as many people as possible. I have also started a brand new Substack newsletter, and I encourage you to subscribe so that you won't miss any of my articles. I have published thousands of articles on the Economic Collapse blog, End of the American Dream, and the most important news. And the articles that I publish on those sites are republished on dozens of other prominent websites all over the globe. I always freely and happily allow others to republish my articles on their own websites, but I also ask that they include this about the author section with each article. The material contained in this article is for general information purposes only, and readers should consult licensed professionals before making any legal, business, financial, or health decisions. I encourage you to follow me on social media on Facebook and Twitter, and any way that you can share these articles with others is definitely a great help. These are such troubled times and people need hope. John 3:16 tells us about the hope that God has given us through Jesus Christ. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish but have everlasting life. If you have not already done so, I strongly urge you to invite Jesus Christ to be your Lord and Savior today. And this is by Michael Snyder on the Economic Collapse blog. Please leave your comments, and thank you for your support. Only support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.